Thanks, Kathy. So, as you mentioned, traditional alarms provide information, right? They provide a motion detector's been activated, a door contact's been broken. It sends a signal that goes to a monitoring center that then goes to a dispatch center. The problem becomes that somebody has to verify what happened. You have to show up, you have to have somebody on scene to see if it was a false alarm or not. Otherwise, remotely, there's really no way to determine that. So, true to this graphic, the majority of alarms that you see are false alarms, and that takes up time and bandwidth for law enforcement or for our employees and partners to respond to.
And anything to add to that? When you see, so, and you're working with, multiple retailers and seeing the impact of traditional alarms on them and their resources. So what are you seeing across the industry?
Correct. So we've done the same thing for the last 6 years with multiple retailers, warehouses. One of the things though we've just started talking about in the last month is we're seeing the focus on some of the larger alarm companies are moving away from traditional alarm, we'll say service, expansion, and even just the basics of use. And to give you an example of this, we've had now multiples where we've had burglaries or attempted burglaries and there was no dispatch. And when I call the alarm company, I'm like, what's going on? There's no dispatch, this place, sustained a crime. And basically I actually had an operator tell me, sorry, we're really not focusing on our communicators as much as we were because we're launching video alarms. And so you can see that transition going away. So they don't even realize communications have failed. They're not following up on that. And so I'm seeing that now move away. And it's pretty severe because a burglary is one thing, but someone being in a restaurant in the morning when a team member comes in is because something completely different.
Yeah. So what you're saying is even challenges in the conversion from one type of alarm to the next.
Yeah.
In a breakdown.
Video alarms. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing larger companies that are now walking into video alarms for the first time, moving away from what the traditional was their moneymaker to now focus those, instead of adding resources, we'll say focusing the resources on where they believe it's going. But unfortunately, the folks who have those alarms are suffering.
Thank you for that. So Chris, I want to chat with you a little bit about the technical aspect. So, we did our survey and we said 54% of participants are not using any type of video verification or video alarm. So can you just walk us through, not extremely technical for us AP folks, right? But enough for us to get the gist of what are we actually talking about here?
Yeah. So, I mean, you can kind of break it down into two categories. I think the first one is call it video verification. So I have a traditional system. I have, door sensors, I have glass break, I have motion sensors. And essentially what you can do is you can layer on top of that video verification where you would pair back, those sensors with a given camera, so a given area of your business. And if there is an actual motion sensor or a sensor tripped, it would then say, okay, well, go ahead and push that camera feed to an operator to say, is something happening, to be able to actually verify what's happening on site without having to bother someone in the middle of the night or bring them, bring them on site and so on and so forth. That's sort of the first category. I'll say it's a way to augment an existing system. Then there's sort of a second category, which, we call video alarms. It's this idea that the cameras themselves, in our perspective, from our perspective, cameras are the world's most powerful sensor, right? There's no need for additional hardware, additional complexity, additional panels. When you can use that actual camera that's well placed, it can do the detection itself. Go ahead, Kathy.
Can I chime in there too? So,
yeah.
So most powerful sensor. And also when you think about per location, how many cameras you have, just the sheer quantity that retailers have, right? Versus other types of equipment.
100%. Like the average Solink site today has just shy of 15 cameras per location. Okay. And so we have full visibility of the entire site. We understand, and you always point your cameras at points of ingress and egress. You typically have them all of your most valuable assets. And so our view of this is that you can use those cameras as a way to detect, if it's the middle of the night, if the system is armed and we detect that there's motion, what we then do is we actually send it to an AI detection model to say, is there a person here? And if it detects a person, then we escalate that to a human verifier to say, is there a threat to person or property? If the answer to that question is yes, we dispatch police right away, notify alarm contacts. And if the answer to that question is no, we end up just closing out the alarm and no one gets bothered, which one of our core principles is, no unwanted disruptions, both to police and to the alarm contacts.
That makes sense. So no
Yeah.
alarms for balloons?
You laugh, but like, we spent a good 3 or 4 years refining this model, and a big part of it was ignoring balloons, because a balloon at a distance can look a lot like a person. Dollar Tree knows a thing or two about balloons, right? Right, Jim?
Balloons can be really sinister when it comes to alarm response.
They
That's
can.
right.
Kathy, just to throw that out, that's not as funny as you think. We have a couple clients that are on the exteriors right now, and I will tell you, they're running right now on traditional alarms and in test on Solink. And I can't tell you how many alarms come in for the damn cat and coyote at night that do not come in on the video alarms. So that ability to, to square it down to where you want the motion and what you want it to see, it's just invaluable.